our July 20th Intermediate Planning webinar, which is Understanding Value of Quality Yield Data. My name is Dan Bahe, and I am one of the Precision Business Planning Specialists here at AgSolver. And today during our webinar, we'll identify fields where there is missing or inaccurate yield data. We'll work scenarios representing standard assumptions and associated cost of upgrading, replacing, or fixing yield monitor issues, and then compare return on investment on zones and scenarios. And then we'll follow up with any questions anyone might have. So and I do want to explain the format that we are in today. So we are in Q&A mode. So if you have a question, please feel free to type your questions in the chat box beneath my contact information. And I also want to mention that this webinar is being recorded and will be posted on YouTube. So if you have any questions, you can either email myself at djba@agsolver.com or support@agsolver.com, or you can see my cell phone number, which is 319-238-1978 if you have any questions. So now we'll hop into Profit Zone Manager. So we're actually in my father's enterprise, which is Mutual Resources. And on the left-hand side, you can see a list of all of our fields. And so I want to give you some basic background on the equipment side of our operation. In 2011, we upgraded to a 2023 88 combine with a Pro 600 monitor on it. And so when we got our combine, we had the original yield card on it, and it had all the yield data back to 2003, which was corn, soybeans, and wheat yield data. The combine came from Wisconsin. So we first had to sort through and upgrade our memory card on that. So theoretically, we had probably 5 to 6 years worth of yield data on our own fields. But when we plugged all of that yield data in, we really only had maybe 2 years of accurate yield data on the majority of our fields. We cover about 1,300 acres. About 1,256 acres is tillable within our operation, or that the combine covers. And before we started working with AgSolver, and before I joined with AgSolver, we really never used our data off of our yield monitor for really, didn't use it for anything. And when I first saw Profit Zone Manager, I thought, now we can actually put a use to all of the yield data that we've been collecting over the years. But once we've analyzed the quality of data that we were recording from our Pro 600 monitor, it was pretty junk. Yields were off anywhere from 20 to 150 bushels. So if we look at, so here we're looking at our profitability map, profit per acre map along. So, and what's being calculated to make this is yield along with our crop budget. And so 2015 was a pretty accurate year for us in terms of quality yield data. And for me, right after harvest, I think it's Christmas, we have all of this data coming in, we can analyze it. But still, even though 2015 was our best recording year for quality data, we still had areas within the field that were missing gaps, it didn't record, and the yield monitor shut off. If we look at 2014, which was our second most accurate year for yield data, you can see we're actually missing holes where the yield monitor just quit reading. 2 areas within here. And we caught it, and we were able to turn it back on, and these certain portions that shut off again. So quality yield data was one main important factor. And so I have these maps filtered at a 10-foot resolution. Also within Profit Zone Manager, we have yield by soil type from 2012 all the way to 2015. And this field in particular, it's pretty non-variable. We have really 6 major soil types that make up this field, and all those soil types are relatively the same across the board. So, and when we compare the quality of data that we can precision business plan on, I'm just going to pull up the compare scenario feature here to compare what yield monitor recorded data looks like compared to the 2015 soil average yield data. So you can see more variability. So, and with a recorded yield monitor, we were recording a yield of 47.6 bushels, where with the state average crop budgets, or state average soil-based yield, you can see we produce right around 60 bushels. So, but when it comes down to it, you have a higher resolution map when you're using yield data compared to yield data off the yield monitor rather than the soil-based yield. So just to give you an idea of the difference between the two. So, and if you don't have a yield monitor in your combine, you can still use Profit Zone Manager just using the soil-based yield. But in this scenario, so on our planner, we also run a Precision Planning 2020 monitor. So we looked at upgrading our elevator chain and transitioning over our combine to the Yield Sense, which came in the price at $4,423 for the upgrade. If we're going to upgrade the moisture sensor, it'd be another $1,300 on top of that. So, and if you added those two costs together, our total cost would be $5,723 to upgrade our combine. So our moisture sensor on our combine works. We actually just replaced it. It would have been last year. So on the moisture sensor, it worked just fine. So what I'm going to do on this standard field is actually, now we're going to create our 2016 scenario. So we'll go ahead and copy scenario, and we're going to base it off of our actual production soybeans 2015. We'll call this 2016 corn production. And why I'm using our soybean years, because our soybean yield and our soybean for 2015 is a true representation of the issues that have been going on in this field. So just to the northeast and east side, we have major watershed runoff from the neighbor's field up the hill. So we'll call this 2016 corn production. We'll go ahead and save that. All right. But we're still basing right now this off of soybean yield. So the next thing that we're going to do, we're going to click on our green Add Zone button and then navigate to our whole field button. That creates the whole field as a zone. We're going to rename this zone 2016 corn yield adjust. So actually I'm going to increase the yield 350 bushel. And then we already have our 2016 Sanders corn crop budget. To run through that, we have a commodity price. We're just right now basing it off the insurance average. We market roughly about 70 to 75% of our grain in season. So when we make sales, we'll increase that or decrease that. Give you an idea of our equipment costs for 2016. So our combine cost, $17 an acre, planter, sprayer, grain cart, anhydrous, really just a basic budget. And these costs are cost of operation. Whether that's someone sitting in that particular implement running it, fuel, and then also cost of upgrades. Next, we have a base seed cost of $125 an acre, fertilizer, herbicide, insecticide, insurance, interest, grain drying, handling, hauling, our land cost, labor, overhead, home, personal, and then custom hire. We'll go ahead and save this. Wait for that to update. So actually, I'm going to come in and edit our budget in the initial planning scenario so we have all the same budgets that match up. So now if we click on our zone, which would be the whole field, so this is what 2016 could turn into. So if we produce 214 bushels per acre, we can expect profit of $230 an acre, return on investment of almost 40%, production efficiency is relatively strong, acreage opportunity ratio, working capital, break-even commodity price, total zone expenses, total zone revenue, total zone profit for this field. So potentially $18,000. So next we can come in and we're actually going to create another scenario. So this is showing the scenario and giving us a baseline if we don't make any equipment upgrades on our combine or anything like that. So now we're at one scenario showing the amortized cost over all of our acres, all of our tillable acres, which would be 1,256 acres, and then add the additional $4.55 to our equipment cost. So go ahead and click on copy scenario again. We're going to base this off of our 2016 corn production. We'll call this 2016 corn production with yield monitor upgrade. Go ahead and click save. And then within this, we're going to update our combine expenses in both budgets. So instead of our combine expense being $17 an acre, now it's going to be $21.55. We'll save that. And then we'll go and update, our combine expense and our total zone budget. So, and we can create one more scenario, putting all of our expense and have this one field paying for that equipment upgrade if we want. And that would just be a matter of coming in another scenario. We'll call this 2016 corn production yield monitor. We'll just call this Sanders. Since we're going to be taking all the expected profit out of the Sanders fields and paying for that yield monitor. Go ahead and click save for that. And instead of amortizing it out over the 1,256 acres, we'll take that cost of $5,723 divided by 78.8, which our cost would come to $7 or $73 for this particular field. We'll come in, edit our budget, and add on the additional cost. And for this, we'll come in and increase our combine cost just on this particular field, $73. So our new combine cost now, or on this particular field, it costs $90 now instead of 17. So then come down, adjust that to $90 if we just want to look at it on this particular field. So next we're going to compare scenarios. So, and that's right next to our field name. We have an options drop-down menu. So in the first option is compare scenarios. On the left-hand side, we will have our original corn production planning, where we increase the yield. So we're expecting to produce 214 bushels. And then on the left-hand side, we have our corn production. We're amortizing the cost over the entire 1,250 acres. You can see we can easily pay for that equipment upgrade. And we also are building equity in our combine. So when we do come and decide to sell our 2388, we can sell it with the original elevator chain, but it also has the yield sense system automatically on it too. So you can see when we amortize it over the entire operation, really it's not that big of change. You can see where we have the $4.55 loss, but it comes down to it's having quality yield data to base your decisions off of. So if you want to look at this on the just associating costs on this entire field, you can see where we're taking the entire cost, of $5,700, applying it to this particular field. So now we'll open it up to any questions anyone might have regarding quality yield data. And the reason why we're primarily going with the Precision Planning 2020 monitor and the yield sense system on our combine is so that we can have one monitor for our planner and for our combine and have everything synced up. So, and before we started looking at upgrading our yield monitor, we first started looking at what the cost would be to upgrade our combine. So, and combine's in relatively decent shape with low operating hours, and we really don't put that many hours on it within a given year. So granted, machinery is pennies on the dollar from what it was, but you're still going to be paying anywhere from 75,000 to really upwards of 200,000 plus to upgrade a combine. And so for us, a cost of $5,700 is relatively inexpensive for us, and we can amortize that cost out between my dad, my brother, and myself. So that was the option that we went with. So it's having that quality data to see the variability within the field, because to me, soil types only show one side of the story, and the soil types may not be the only reason for variability within a field. So it's having the yield information. If we hop into another field, you can see and help tell the story. All right, was this issue a tile issue? Was it an application issue or benefit to the particular operation? Was it a tree shading issue? So just pull up another field that shows variability within it. We'll go to, or actually we'll start with looking at 2014. And this is where the yield monitor quit reading in 2014. So we have about 600 to 700 acres that have true, accurate yield representation. But you can see where the areas of the field where the yield monitor just shut off. Inside the driveway here, there's a compaction issue. If we look at 2015 corn production, in the northwest corner, there was a water management issue. And then in the northeast corner, there's tree shading, turkey, and deer populations. So it's having this variability within the field to really make good and decisive decisions. So you can run programs like Profit Zone Manager. So it doesn't look like we have any questions. I want to mention that this webinar is being recorded and will be posted to YouTube after it is completed. And please, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or the team, the support team. You have my cell phone number. So thank you for everyone that joined today. So, and have a good week.